Okay. Y'all ready to go?
I'm gonna be right here.
All right. Good evening. Good evening.
I think you gotta hit it. You got a camera.
Good evening. That was fantastic. You guys respond. I'm calling to order the meeting of Monday, September 12th of the City of Keystone Heights City Council. We begin with prayer, and tonight we have Pastor Stanlin from Trinity Baptist. If you would please stand with me, it will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance being offered by Commander of ANVETS Post 86, Bob Beinlich.
Let's pray together. Father God, we come before you tonight to thank you for who you are and for the day that you've given us in this day and the blessings that you have given us. And Father, as we come tonight, we pray your blessings over this meeting. And Father, we pray that you would bless the council with wisdom as they seek to do that which is the best for the city of Keystone Heights. Father, we thank you for their service. And Father, thank you for these that have shown for the meeting tonight. And we pray, Father, that you be glorified in all that we do in this place. And we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
And salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You can be seated. Ms. Rakowski, would you like to call roll?
Mayor Lake.
Here.
Vice Mayor Hart.
Here.
Councilman Bobby Brown.
Here.
Councilman Tony Brown.
Here.
Councilwoman Thompson. Here. You have a quorum, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'd like to propose to council that we amend our agenda this evening to include a resolution for the Clay County School District. Is there a motion to amend?
A copy is provided.
Yes, a copy is provided at the dais. It was a late minute. This was this conversation we had, I believe, 2 meetings ago about a resolution supporting completion of renovations at Keystone Heights Elementary School. We were going to write another resolution like we did the first time and deliver it to the school board.
I move the agenda change, that's fine.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That will be 3D. Motion passes 5-0. We have a presentation this evening. I'm really super excited. When we talked about people of impact and promoting and recognizing people of impact, I think of one organization that reminds me of the most impact, and that's impacting family lives, and in a very basic way, in providing food when food is needed. And so this evening, we have the volunteers of Lake Area Ministries here with us this evening, and if I would, I'd like council to come down. Isn't that what you want to miss? Yeah, we're going to do it that way. And then we're going to take a picture differently because there's so many of you and we want to be able to see everyone. We'll have council come down, we'll present the presentation, and then we want to pose for a picture with all of you, okay? So. If I could have, let's see, Pastor Stanlin, if you will stand with council. Ms. Tanya, if you'll stand with council right now.
Behave myself is what he said. How dare.
Well, I sat you next to Pastor Stanlin for that very reason.
How dare.
Okay, good evening. It's my pleasure to read this proclamation. Whereas Lake Area Ministries was established in 1989 to provide a central location to assist underserved families with food, information, referral, and counseling. And whereas Lake Area Ministries is supported through 22 local churches, individual community members, and community organizations. And whereas Lake Erie Ministries is guided by a compassionate board of directors and coordinator, and whereas residents from portions of Clay, Bradford, and Putnam counties are eligible for assistance, and whereas the food provided is a supplement for their families' food needs, and whereas compassionate volunteers provide the organization's labor to maintain services at Lake Erie Ministries by driving to grocery stores and picking up food, packing food boxes and cold room products, and running the day-to-day operations. And whereas many nonprofit organizations have scaled back their operations as a result of the pandemic and economic recovery, Lake Erie Ministries continues to provide assistance at the same or higher level than before the pandemic. And whereas pre-pandemic, Lake Erie Ministries served an average of 450 families per month, post-pandemic, it now serves an average of 850 families per month. And whereas the City of Keystone Heights and its residents are thankful for Lake Erie Ministries' continued commitment to families in our community, and whereas the City of Keystone Heights and its residents recognize and appreciate the hours and hours of volunteer work at Lake Erie Ministries throughout these 32 years, and whereas the City of Keystone Heights and its residents commend the leadership of the Lake Erie Ministries for their steadfast stewardship, now therefore be it resolved that by the authority vested in me as mayor of the City of Keystone Heights and on behalf of the City Council, I, Karen Lake, proclaim Monday, September 12th as Lake Erie Ministries Day. And so we would like to present, oops, let me do this. I have a key to the city and I have a proclamation. Is it the will of council to proceed with awarding this to Lake Erie Ministries? Is there a motion? Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. So what we have here for you today is we have the proclamation and we have a key to the city. And so we would like to thank you.
So, we're going to do this a little bit differently to get a picture of everybody. So everybody involved in Lake Erie Ministries, if I can have you switch into the audience here, and then council, if you can turn around, get in that group and face me so I can take a picture upwards and hopefully get everybody in it.
No, we're going to stay here.
You want everyone to stand or sit?
Stand if they can stand, and then those who can't, maybe if they can.
Have the front people sit.
Yeah, if I can, well, I need council. So.
You want to stay like this?
Bring, if we can have some of the kids kind of move forward, and then council, I'm going to need you. I can't. Karen, I need you. Right there.
Yeah, sure. You feel like it's like long. It's good. Don't worry about it.
All right, guys, everybody. You got a couple different ones. Steve, I'm going to need you to scooch in. Vice Mayor Hart, thank you. Okay, don't move anywhere. You got more. Oh, I love that. Y'all are awesome.
We don't
That's
mind.
all-
Don't
that's
call
all-
us.
you
Don't
guys
call
got
me
it.
to do something.
All right.
Thank you. Thank y'all for coming.
All right.
I just don't want you to walk out without it. Big boss is leaving. Yes, sir. Thank you. Tony.
Yes, yes, she and Terry Sapper are here with the
Yeah.
She and Terry Sapper, myself.
They're really passing budget and stuff.
Yes, thank you.
Excuse me, Miss Mayor, after getting ready here, from 10 years, Monday making, I have a very important question. I don't know how to answer it. We have two very hard glass stores that's all this and the windows. And I certainly hope so they don't do no lobbying business. And we don't, we definitely need all the stores, just like stores and all the, and please invite all the stores. Keystone Life is big enough, that it has room for one more. There's two stores charging like the devil, absolutely high price. A lot of retired people like myself. And some other unfortunate, we just live payday to payday. And we very well need a other store like all this. Please make arrangement and invite them over here in Keystone. There's plenty of room in here.
Okay, thank
If you
you.
don't mind,
Sure.
do that. Keep it in your mind.
You got it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
coming in.
I got many friends
Yes,
passed away. I belongs to the Keystone Triangle Club back in 1970. I belongs to the Jacksonville Triangle 40 years and the Masonic Lodge 40 years. So I got many friends both sides of Jacksonville and Keystone Lodge.
nice to know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, and Madam Mayor, before we go on public comment, while we're transitioning, I just wanted to introduce our newest member of staff. We have Miss Jennifer here tonight. She's sitting back there with Miss Christina.
Hello, Miss Jennifer. We'll reconvene the meeting. Ms. Rakowski, are there any public comment cards?
I do have one, Miss Sue Plaster.
Ms. Plaster, would you like to come up to the microphone, please, and state your name and where you live?
I'm Sue Plaster, realtor with CB Isaac, but has nothing to do with what I'm doing tonight. And I live right at 85 Southeast Forest Street. That's just a mile south of here. And I just wanted to explain first that I was the daughter, both my parents were pilots in World War II. We lived everywhere. And when my father was killed in World War II, mother remarried another one, and he was Air Force, and we moved again. So I've been in every state but Oregon. And then we ended up in Chile, where he was air attaché down there. But I only tell you that to tell you that when I came up 95 and came through Palatka, my husband and I were driving around to find a place to retire. And we came through Melrose, and then we hit all those churches. And then my husband had to check out the golf course. But we rounded the bend here, and as soon as we saw the lake and the beach house, we said, this is it. We just got to find something here. But I don't know if you all realize what an oasis this is. This is more beautiful. I mean, I've lived in Southern and Northern California. The coast of Chile is absolutely phenomenal. And they're just beautiful places, but this just tops everything. And I know Tony, you and Mike, and you people been around here forever, want to keep it the same and wanted to keep it a secret, but it's not a secret any longer. And I just want to embrace it rather than keep it a secret. And I fell so in love with those lights right down here at the end of the street, because I live down there. That tells us we can't go straight. We got to make a turn because there are all those lights at night. And it just gave me the idea. I would just like for the whole, not just the city, but the whole area of Keystone to be called the City of Lights. And just let the rest of us join what you've done, and just as individuals. The first thing I did when I saw those lights is I bought some. I never had bought any before. But I just think we all ought to pitch in and, you know, for an hour after dark, turn on our lights and let the world see us. And quit hiding, Tony. We're here, and we're growing. Like a fellow came in here 3 years ago and told us we had 25,000 people coming in here in the next 10 years. And they've made a pretty good start at it in these 3 years. But we'll just have to embrace it and make it beautiful and live with it. And I'm just so proud of Keystone, and I've loved every minute I've been here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Sue.
you.
We're moving to resolutions and ordinances. Item A is Resolution 2022-06, Keystone Heights Airport fiscal year ending 2022-2023 budget. And for those of you new in the audience, this is a very business-like section of our agenda. It's actually what we're hired to do, and that's pass the budget. And so we're going to go through a series of motions here and conduct the business of the city. Is there a motion to read by short title?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. Mr. Commando.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Resolution 2022-6, a resolution of the City Council of Keystone Heights, Florida, approving the budget for the Keystone Airport Authority.
You've heard the short title. Are there any questions of staff? Or do you have any questions? We're adopting this budget so we can approve it in the next. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We'll take up item B, ordinance 2022-596, fiscal year ending 22-23, millage rate. Is there a motion to read this ordinance by short title?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. Mr. Commando.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Ordinance 2022-596, an ordinance of the City of Keystone Heights levying the ad valorem property tax millage rate for municipal purposes on all taxable property within the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2022 and ending September 30th, 2023, stating the percentage by which the millage to be levied exceeds the rolled back rate, providing an effective date.
This public hearing is to present the proposed budget of the City of Keystone Heights to the public for comment, questions, and review, and to make changes if desired by the City Council. The process for budget adoption is detailed precisely in Florida statutes, and we must comply with those directives. The very first order of business is to discuss the proposed millage, the rollback millage rate, and reasons for the increase in ad valorem tax revenues. I will now turn this discussion over to our city manager to make certain we meet all required communications.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The name of the taxing authority is the City of Keystone Heights, Florida. The City Council's proposed budget for fiscal year 22-23 reflects a millage rate of 4.2901. That millage can be compared to the current millage rate, which is also 4.2901, and to the rollback millage rate, which is 4.0344. The rollback rate is a calculation which brings in the same tax dollars next year as for this year excluding new construction. I'm required by statutes to state that the percentage increase for the proposed millage compared to the rollback rate. The proposed millage rate is a 6.34 increase over the rollback rate. The city's overall proposed budget is $2,744,288.66 and breaks down as the following. Our general fund budget is $896,888.49. The Community Redevelopment Agency budget is $232,874. Our cemetery budget is $32,661.70, and our airport budget is $1,314,386.47. Our CIP, our infrastructure budget, is $276,478. This millage represents a 0.0 mils increase. The budget increase proposed for this year is directly attributed to the cost increase of supplies, materials, and services. Council voted at 5-0 to set the maximum millage rate at 4.2901. The budget reflects the draft budget reviewed by the Budget and Finance Committee and then approved by Council on August 27th, 2022. This is being presented tonight, September 12th, 2022, at a public hearing and will be presented for a second hearing and adoption September 26th, 2022.
We will now open the public hearing on the proposed millage. Is there anyone to speak to the budget?
I would like to speak to it. I guess I would like to know, since this is the second year I think I've seen you go over the cap with the millage rate. I guess I'd like to know why you think the city needs to go over the cap. Like what do you need the extra money for?
Oh, first, just for our record, because it is a public hearing, if you'll state your name and address.
Thank you. My name's Carrie Collins. I own property here in the city, so I actually pay the taxes here at 555 Palmetto Avenue, Southeast in Keystone Heights, Florida. I also own property in the county, and I know what the difference in the tax rates are between the city and the county, and it's gone increasingly up in the city over the last several years noticeably. And I know some of that's attributed to property values and different things like that. But I guess I'm curious why, at least the last 2 years, I've been at hearings and council meetings and have seen you go over the cap. What is the reasoning behind it?
And Madam Mayor, if I may. So they're actually not going over the cap. The cap is 10 mils. So we're at almost 5.5% lower than the actual cap.
Okay.
The increase in the property values, which is the difference between the rolled back rate and the stated rate of the millage, the reason why is because services, services, materials, everything that the city has to buy goes up in cost with those increase in values from inflation. So the difference between those two rates is essentially just covering inflation.
Okay, so we're not going over the cap, but the taxes are going up.
The amount of money that's collected will increase. The actual tax rate does not increase.
Okay, so so then why do you need a resolution, I guess, if you're not going over?
Because the law requires us to pass a resolution every year.
Okay, so it's the same, it's just the amount.
The tax rate's the same. But for example, the 4.2, and I already lost track of it, 4.2901, because property values are higher, will bring in more dollars. Those additional dollars that are brought in are used to adjust for the fact that we have to deal with inflation on everything from staff, minimum wage coming up towards $15 an hour. Every piece of concrete lumber that the city buys is all cost more than it did even a year ago.
Okay, I just thought you were increasing the taxes.
So it's called a tax increase because we're not taking in the same number of dollars as we did last year. That's the rolled back rate. We're not bringing in the same number of dollars. We're keeping the same tax rate.
Okay.
But because property values have increased, the percentage on that increased property value is slightly higher.
Okay.
And that's the 6.34%, if I, yes, 6.34% is the difference.
Okay.
If I could amplify that, 6.34% is less than current inflation, which is around 9%. So in effect, we're not even keeping pace with inflation with this change.
Well, I mean, okay, thank you for explaining that, because I know that when I look at my property bill and tax bill, and I see it, it goes up and up and up every year, and it's disproportionate. I mean, the county is also going up and up and up, but the city is going up more, like in proportion. So that's what's concerning to me. So, but thank you for the explanation that we're not going over the cap. But I just think we also need to bear in mind to be fiscally responsible for the city citizens in general, because of the amount of people that live within the city limits. It's not very much, and the numbers, they bear the burden. So, thank you.
Anyone else want to speak to the budget? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing.
Hold on,
Council?
we need a vote, yeah.
Discussion?
No, you'll vote.
You've seen the budget twice already. We're talking about the millage rate. Mr. Commando explained it very well.
I think this is the second or third year where we have not increased the millage rate. We've stayed the same. The change is attributable to increased real estate values, and we don't set those values. They're set by the county assessor, county appraiser.
And Madam Mayor, if I may, this is actually the fourth year that we have not raised the millage rate. We've stayed consistent at a 4.2901.
More other discussion? Is there a motion to approve the millage?
Also move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. Our third item on this agenda is item C, ordinance 2022-597 fiscal year ending 2022-2023 budget. This is our actual budget. Is there a motion to read by short title?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Mr. Commander.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Ordinance 2022-597, an ordinance for the purpose of adopting the final budget for the city of Keystone Heights, Florida for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2022 and ending September 30th, 2023, and providing an effective date.
All of you have a copy of the proposed budget. Are there any questions of staff?
And we also need to reopen a public hearing.
Okay. Any questions of staff? Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone here to speak to the budget? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Bring it back to council. Is there a motion to pass the 2022-2023 budget?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. We've amended our agenda to include the Clay County School District resolution. It's in your packet on the dais.
Maybe.
I don't know if everybody's had a chance to read it. Would you be more comfortable with Mr. Commando giving you an explanation after you vote on the title?
Actually, maybe while you're looking at it, it'll help if I just give a brief summary. So when you look at the recitals and the whereas clauses, essentially it's recognizing that there's the Ed First plan based on the 2020 referendum to keep the sales tax for educational purposes. And that since that time, There were phases 1 through 4. Phases 2, 3, and 4 have now been incorporated into phase 1 of the project thanks to a $21 million allocation that is going to provide for new construction and renovation of a cafeteria, playgrounds, basketball courts, a covered pavilion, a media center, classrooms, an infrastructure utility work area, wastewater, electrical, plumbing, and electronics increases, as well as the Gary Cooper Memorial Center. So even understanding with that $21 million increase, there's still additional facilities within Keystone Heights that would still need replacing. Some of the things that were described in phase 2 were facilities that were over 60 years old. The portable classroom's really the one that gets the most discussion. Different walkways that are uncovered and flooding issues, as well as just the inadequate restroom capacity for 900 students. So in that, the purpose of the resolution is to call once again on the superintendent and the Clay County School Board and to ask them to increase the annual appropriation for construction and renovation of the aged and dated facilities.
Any questions?
This does not have the effect of law. It's just basically supporting what they're doing now and asking them to spend more money later on
Yes.
local schools. Is that essentially it?
Yes, Mr. President.
Any other questions?
We talked about this, and I know I talked to the school board rep, Tina Bullock here, and my understanding what they would like to do and what this will support is to go ahead and continue to work and do the new school classrooms that I know are old, and I know that they're spending a lot of money down here, but you know, there's a lot of years that we haven't gotten anything, and to see our kids be in the same classroom that I was in the 60s and 70s, early 70s, I think personally, I know that there's some funding issues and stuff, but I think it would be nice to just go ahead and support this, and hopefully the school board will, you know, look at their numbers and make it happen in the next couple of years and not wait 10 or 20 years again. I don't think these classrooms, I mean, you were in those classrooms and I was in those classrooms, and they're old, and our kids are in those things, and so, and all these other schools in Clay County are getting nice things, and so I believe our school here needs to have some nice buildings for our kids. So I support it.
Anyone else?
It's about time.
Well, I truly believe that as a result, you know, we did a resolution for the first time when we discovered that we had been taken off the list.
Yep.
And we came together as a council and we said, you know, wait, we want to be back on the list. And as a result, it wasn't soon after that all of a sudden we had a new cafeteria. And then, you know, we got new 6th grade classrooms and now a new media center, or refurbished classrooms and media center. So I'm of the inclination to say that, you know, collectively when we send our voice to the district, they listen.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the buildings are already there. They're only having to build a couple of new ones. So I think we've given them a head start in terms of renovating those buildings.
I think the district was operating under the idea that there was no growth down here. In fact, I saw an email from the superintendent 2 or 3 years ago to that effect. I think they probably have changed their minds now, and I think this is overdue, but it's a good thing to at least do this much now and encourage more spending later. So I'm in favor of it.
Okay. Any other comments? Ms. Thompson, Mr. Brown? Seeing no comments, is there a motion to pass this resolution?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. That'll be a joy to deliver. We are moving to events. First event is PNC Bank Family Day event with alcohol. Ms. Rakowski, would you like to explain the event?
Sure, this is a private rental from PNC Bank. They're doing a family day down at the beach on October 9th from 1 to 5. They have reserved it for a 4-hour rental. They are requesting alcohol. It has been explained that alcohol is in the pavilion only, and that's not something that's done on the beach. We do have a representative from PNC. If you have any additional questions, however, just because our ordinance states that this is coming to council for approval because of the alcohol.
Any questions about the event, council?
The only thing I have is, like the city manager, it stays in the pavilion. And it doesn't go on the playground, it doesn't go to the beach or the picnic tables, it stays in that pavilion.
And alcohol is not to be sold. It's furnished by the organization to whoever shows up, but they're not going to be opening up a bar, a cash bar, or anything like that. I think that's understood.
Yes, that's also in the ordinance.
Okay, is there a motion to approve PNC Bank Family Day?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And to the lovely Kano's Bridal Shower event. Ms. Rakowski,
So we do have a bridal shower event on January 7th, and it's an all-day rental. This, as well as request an alcohol in the pavilion. Again, as the other times the ordinance requires that this comes in front of council, the alcohol is to stay inside the pavilion, is not to be sold, is compliance with our ordinance. We do have the applicant here if there's any additional questions.
well, there is an additional question. Will I be served a mimosa if I crash your party?
Although we're renting it for the entire day, the bridal shower is really a brunch, and therefore it's just mimosas, not a dinner.
Okay.
That was going to be my question. That's an all-day bridal shower. That's a heck of a party.
We have a lot of out-of-town guests.
I understand.
Everyone almost.
I'm not criticizing.
So we figured we'd not rush everyone.
Gotcha.
It's a beautiful area to have it.
That's fine.
It's a beautiful area to have it.
It is. I'm really excited to be here.
What's the et cetera? Mimosas, et cetera. Never, you don't have to answer that.
Champagne toast?
Yeah, there you go. No,
Okay.
Just keep it in the pavilion. in the pavilion.
that's right.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We're hitting 100 so far.
Man, we're doing good.
All right, third event. LRPP Shop Small Saturday, including the pavilion use. Ms. Rakowski, this is actually an event that was on your dais this afternoon, this evening. It was in your packet, it was just late coming in. Is that correct?
Yes, so the application, it's pretty standard, so it's a Keystone Heights affair. It's brought to us by the Clay County Chamber, our chapter, which is the Lake Region Prosperity Partners. The idea is to bring back Shop Small. It kind of fizzled away after COVID, and so we'd like to bring that back. It was very successful in prior years. LRPP is requesting the use of the pavilion for a free pancake breakfast. It is my understanding that the LRPP has actually received donations, and so it will be to no cost to either the chamber or anybody who comes in. And then, if you remember, in years past, we'll be doing Facebook Live events. We'll have vendors that will be set up behind City Hall for the homemade goods, for those home-based businesses, crafts and whatnot. And it's really just a fun event for our downtown businesses and encouraging after Black Friday to shop local and support our businesses inside Keystone Heights.
No alcohol.
No, not at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's just, so the request is because there's no charge for anybody and it's all based on donations, is to be able to utilize the pavilion and waive that fee. And so that requires action of council.
I'll make a motion to
Thank you.
accept.
Is there a second?
I'll second it and note that we'll waive the fee.
Sure.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Mayor, while we're on this, can I say something about the pavilion?
Yeah.
A young lady rented it the other day, last weekend, and if we could we have staff put a sign down there that says private event, so they could put it out the door so people won't come in, won't use the restroom?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's happened.
And then also after next fiscal year, we'll have conversations, the council will have conversations about possibly adding gates onto the pavilion deck because we have a lot of individuals that as they're hosting private events, we've got rollerbladers,
Yes.
Oh,
roller
yeah,
skaters
that's true.
Yes,
on there. And so there will be some changes that council will discuss
Okay.
come October 1.
Okay,
sounds good.
thank you.
Good point, Mr. Brown. All right, we're up to old business. RFP 2022-001, commercial waste pickup.
We did consent agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. You buy that one.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Now we're up to old business. RFP 2022-001, commercial waste pickup. Ms. Rakowski, would you like to give us a recap?
Sure, and we have Mr. Huntington here from Waste Management to discuss the proposal. As provided to council, everybody got their binder with the request for qualifications, request for proposal pricing. We had one response, and that was Waste Management. We discussed their price sheets. I want to, before we continue, to make note that after having conversations with Waste Management and Mr. Greg Huntington, that you have on your dais the proposed revised price sheets. It's actually a decrease from what was given to you in the packet.
How did it decrease? Can you give us examples of?
Yeah, Mr. Huntington is here to discuss.
Sure, Mr. Huntington, would you like to come up?
But I believe it's a decrease of 15%. Is that?
Would you like to state your name for the record, please?
Yes, ma'am. Waste Management, Greg Huntington. Yes, we know, last time we were here, we presented, and I kind of went through the history of the account being with Advanced Disposal going all the way back to 2007. It was acquired by Waste Management in October of 2020. And anytime there's an acquisition, you do have some turnover. So, you had people that were working for Advanced Disposal that eventually left or went to another company. So sometimes things are a little bit disjointed. And so we realized, we have a whole pricing team, and we realized that we had priced it 14% higher than we should have. So it's a benefit. It's in favor of the commercial customer. Our proposed rates have dropped by 14%. So it's a positive in that regard.
Okay. Any questions?
I'd like to just make a statement, because this was brought up back a couple months ago about the dumpsters and people wanting to go out and get other companies to come in. Well, as a business owner, I happened to was interested in getting a dumpster. So I called a couple of the companies that, one's in Palaca, one's in Jacksonville, and they wouldn't even give me any numbers whatsoever how much it was going to cost me, only because it depends on how many people they got. And the chance, and we've talked about this, if I pick one company for my business, they're not going to come in here unless they have the whole kit and caboodle. I didn't seem that would be a good way for us to go for our commercial route.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
So he's absolutely correct. So it went out to bid, which I believe there's 71 to 74 accounts. We were the only bidder, meaning nobody had any interest in bidding on the entire book of business, which means they would be even less likely to, even in a quote-unquote open market, to try to come and get one-offs. And it's just the reality of the geography and where you're located. In the other hauling companies, they're further away. We have the benefit of servicing the entire county in our hauling divisions in Green Cove Springs, where Rosemary Hill landfill is, or transfer station, which in the county it's flow controlled. So anybody that comes in here to collect waste in Clay County has to take it to Rosemary Hill. So for us, it is a little bit of a drive to get down here, and I think we're in your city 2 days out of the week. We service all those accounts. We come back, we take the waste to Rosemary Hill, and then we park our trucks at Green Cove Springs. Other companies that are further away would have to come into the city, service the accounts, then go all the way to Rosemary Hill, dump it, and then go back. And so it doesn't make business sense for other vendors to do it.
So, and I did speak with County Commissioner Condon this afternoon regarding this, and she shared that, you know, the county has approved 26 haulers. Now, if you're a business in the north end of the county, you can pick from 26. And that's certainly doesn't seem to be the case here since we only got one bid. And so the only other point I will make, and I've talked to several business owners today, and our business owners here in Keystone, I talked to local owners. I didn't talk to corporate owners or anyone in the franchise or whatever. And one of the things, you know, I learned from these conversations is that we have some really creative business people here. And I think it's wise for us to tap into it more so when we go to make these kinds of decisions. For example, one of the suggestions by one of the business owners that I talked to was, is there a way to collectively maybe do a roll-off and do a transfer on a roll-off for commercial waste? Because we're doing it for recycling. We have a recycling transfer station at Sunrise Park. If there were a number, would it be more cost efficient for you to provide a roll-off, and then small business owners, if they didn't have a bin, they could just drop off in the roll-off and you could negotiate a lower rate for them? Is something like that possible? Have we thought about those kinds of things?
Maybe in various scenarios. Truth be told, I'm not the operational piece component of waste management in terms of operations or pricing and making those decisions. I think, you know, the waste generated by individual commercial accounts is unique to that customer. So you're not going to be, I mean, you're asking for a roll-off to be placed somewhere that smaller companies could use to dump, and then we would come pick it up.
Yes.
I don't think so, and it wasn't necessarily included in the bid specs. And at this point in time, our current contract expires at the end of this month. So we're looking at an October 1st start date.
Okay. And I knew there was a time crunch, but I just wanted to throw that out there, is that, you know, if we tapped into our business community sooner, I think we would have, you know, more impactful conversations, because something like that maybe could work, but we didn't think about it, we didn't consider it before we went out to bid.
The only thing with a roll-off and knowing the alleyways and stuff, I don't know if you could put a roll-off in some of these alleyways and have room for parking and stuff.
Right.
Where the dumpsters are set in like they can put those in a little corner. They come in and dump and everything. But,
It
and I
would
know.
probably have to be someplace else. I mean, downtown it's probably not going to be feasible.
Yeah.
But it's just for conversation to show that, you know, we really need to connect with our business owners probably a little bit sooner. Because I was quite impressed with some of the conversations and ideas that came out when I was having.
Well, I too spoke with three.
Did you?
Yes, I did. And they were very happy with their pickup. And one was complaining about a can, the lid on the can was broken. But that's the only, you know, negative thing that I heard from them. The one lady didn't like one of the businesses didn't like the increase in the price.
No, I understand that, but, you know, prices across the board are going up. I mean, I could go through the price increases we've had in wages, steel, resin, you name it. Maintenance on our trucks, all of that has gone through the roof. And so, you know, we are the largest company in North America. We consider ourselves to be the gold standard. So you do have the gold standard servicing the city of Keystone Heights. And I don't say that to take it for granted. I don't. I always, every time I come in here, I say thank you for allowing us to provide these critical environmental services to your city. It just happens to be because where we're positioned in the county, we're the only ones that seemingly can provide that service.
And the others that I talked to agree with that. You know, it's kind of like they feel safer having the city manage the contract and have consistent service, because they understand the dynamic of not being able to find someone reasonably priced to come down and service their accounts. So
that's a great point, Mayor, because with the contract, there are liquidated damages if we do fail in our services, whereas if it was open market, you may not have that same what's the right word, retribution. And then two, a negative about open market is if in fact you did have multiple vendors that wanted to be in your city, that would mean you'd have increased truck traffic probably every day minus Sunday in your city.
Right. It's certainly something to take into account. Is there a will of the council?
I'd like to ask legal counsel, I'm sure you reviewed the contract. Can you give us the Cliff Notes version of what it contains? As far as duration, price increases, that sort of thing?
No, because we've gone back and forth. I mean, we don't have all the comments back from them on what contract they want to see. So we have the sample that was included in the RFP. They proposed some information back.
So we're looking at an agreement to agree at this point. Is that essentially it?
Correct.
Okay.
Question.
Yes, sir.
15% reduction after.
14.
14%?
Yes, sir, to be clear.
You sharpened your pencils.
Sir?
You sharpened your pencil. and come
Yeah,
up with
absolutely.
that.
I mean, you can look at it however you
All
want.
right. That's-
It's not an increase, it's a decrease of 14%, which is pretty substantial.
Okay, now, if we were to go with a community dumpster, one of those big roll-off things, are those covered?
That's,
Are they
you know, I was
got
gonna make that
sliding
point,
doors
but I
and
didn't want to.
closing?
Yeah, that's a great point. So if you, let's just hypothetically said you did something with an open top container and people were throwing garbage in there, then you're gonna have pest issues and flies and smells and it's,
Seagulls.
yeah, I mean, roll-off containers are best utilized for construction and demolition, which unfortunately, those do get contamination, but you don't want one of those anywhere in your city.
So are there any questions? You have more questions, Mr. Brown?
No, I want to make a motion.
Okay. What is your motion?
My motion is that we, the city of Keystone Heights, go with waste management.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. So, Mr. Commando, you will be executing that contract with the city manager? How will that look moving forward, or will we see it again on the agenda?
We'll negotiate, and as soon as we have an agreement, we'll put it on the soonest agenda we can.
Okay. We're up to committee reports. Budget and finance. I think we've taken care of all of our business tonight. Growth management.
No report.
Keystone Heights Airport Authority, is there a rep?
We do not have an ATPT tonight.
Can you state your name, please?
My name is Scott Cornegay, Keystone Heights Airport Authority, and we have no ATPT or anything to report.
Okay.
All right.
Short and sweet. Planning and zoning.
So yes, and I'll cover some of this on my report. However, we did receive some construction review plans from the Country Meadows that has been postponed because of engineering changes within DRMP's firm. We'll talk about that more under my comments. And then we also have received some comments we've received plans from Popeyes, and we've provided them with comments, and then we're waiting for their comments to come back on those. So we're moving forward on a staff side. Engineering we'll discuss under my comments.
Okay. Heritage Commission. Are you here, Ms. Deidre, for Heritage?
No, but it can be.
Do you want to come to the microphone?
I know that we did have a line item in the budget.
Can you come up to the microphone? Pull the microphone down, please. Thank
Heritage Commission. Do I have to state my address? Good, okay. I was not prepared to talk about the Heritage Commission. I was here for Friends of Keystone Heights, but I understand now that it's a line item in the budget, which has already passed.
I was going to mention that in the council comments.
Okay.
It got glossed over when we did the budget.
Okay, so I think we're good with the Heritage Commission in that we did request a budget of $4,000 and that it was passed, correct? And seeing how I'm standing here now also in front of you, for Friends of Keystone Heights, which will include the Centennial Commission, we were asking for a budget of $1,500.
It's in there.
And that's in there as well, so we're good. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank
you.
you.
We look forward. We got invitations to an event. You want to mention the event? where you're serving a brunch. It's at the pavilion, and if I can read.
September
it's all-
17th, I think it's an educational thing to work with the plaques.
Saturday, September
It's
10th.
actually a workshop and we're bringing in 30 different recipients from the community that do have historic homes so that they can learn more about not just the city, but their individual home. And we're having Miss Garrick,
V.G. Garrett.
Vichy Garrick, come. She's fantastic. She is from the Clay County Archive, and she will be there doing the presentation.
And that's this coming Saturday.
That's this coming Saturday from 10 to 1 in the pavilion.
Yes.
And it is an invitation-only thing. So please come if you are,
RSVP.
yeah, if you can. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Under new business, we have agenda item A, golf carts. Ms. Kukowski, you want to start the discussion on golf carts?
So this was a conversation that was brought up and asked to be added to the agenda. We were not able to add it to last month's agenda due to some limitations in our website that we've since been able to correct. Council was provided with 5 different ordinances for golf carts and how different, one is from the Florida Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. We've got Green Cove Springs, Putnam County, Stark, and then also the state statutes on golf carts. So this was really just for your information and how council would like to start this conversation of golf carts. I know that there's some regulations with the state road, and so that makes ours unique with crossing over 21.
But per the statute, it looks like there's a possibility of that happening if you want to request it and it's approved.
I will defer that to our
Is
city
that
attorney.
correct, Mr. Camerando?
I'll go back and look at that.
Okay, I thought that's what I read, but I'm not an attorney.
I mean, you can cross a road and know where a golf cart is.
Did we get those ordinances?
I think it has to be approved by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Yes, that's what it says. To cross a portion of the state highway system which intersects a county road or municipal street that has been designated for use by golf carts, if the Department of Transportation has reviewed and approved the location and design of the crossing and any traffic control devices needed for safety purposes, which our traffic control devices are already present.
Yep.
So that would be something, if council decides to move forward with this, then we would have conversations with FDOT on where that appropriate crossing would be for designation on State Road 21 or South Lawrence Boulevard.
But the thing is, they would have to know that if, and I don't want to put the law enforcement officer on the spot, but I'm pretty sure that Florida Highway Patrol is not going to be too privy on people driving right down the middle of the highway. With my understanding in the past,
That's,
Yeah,
no, that's not what that,
35 miles an hour.
yeah.
It's just talking about if you're on one of those roads that the city has said that's a city road that crosses, then you have to get DOT permission.
Just to
or
cross.
the ability to cross the road.
Right,
Well,
Not drive on it.
yes, just across.
but if I remember right, several years ago, we did have a gentleman that had a golf cart that was, he had a tag, Florida tag on it, and he was able to drive on 21 with the speed limit of 35 miles an hour. So that's something I would want to look into. Because, I mean, I've sat at the gas station and see one of them big, nice golf carts that can house probably, I guess they had about 6 people on it, going right down Lawrence Boulevard.
Unfortunately, just be careful, because just because you see it doesn't mean it's legal.
Well, yeah. So they're breaking the law. So my thing is, we have an older generation here that, and I would love to even have a golf cart. And, because I could save gas from driving from my house to my office, but, and going to the post office, but I'm gonna have to cross highways. And, but I feel like if it's something can be managed, and be enforced, I think we should pursue it.
I'm in agreement. The only thing I feel like restriction would be age. You know, it would be age appropriate. Maybe I saw in one of the ordinances it was 14.
Yeah.
Yep.
And another
Yep.
one's 16.
Yes.
So they were different. I read them.
14, so
Statute's 14.
it's not going below 14, even though I've heard of 13-year-olds driving them. It's not legal. Now, you can increase it, but honestly, if you're 16, then
You have a driver's
you're probably
license
driving a
anyway.
car anyway.
Yep.
Do I understand that we can regulate internally within the city? We get the state involved if it involves crossing over a state highway? Is that essentially, no?
The Department of Transportation does that. We would have to make a request of them. So if you pass your ordinance that allowed for golf carts on roads with speed limits that were 35 miles an hour or less, and if one of those roads that you designate is a road permissible for golf cart use, then you would have to apply to DOT, get their permission if any of those roads cross.
Right. But if a road does not cross, then we can regulate it internally.
That's correct.
You have to post signs too, right?
Correct.
Yes.
So
So it would help if you look at the samples that Mr. Castle sent out,
I did.
and if there's some direction as to one of those is better than another, do you want to cut and paste, or the provisions out of certain ones you want to use, or do you not want to do this at all? I mean, there's a lot of discussion that we're looking for.
So I want to do it. I think golf carts are a reasonable method of transportation. I'd be driving mine if I had one. The Putnam County ordinance was fairly reasonable to me. I liked section I liked section 5, where they set the hours between sunrise and sunset. I felt that was reasonable. Another ordinance said you could drive from sunrise to midnight, but then after dark you would have to have the required equipment on the golf cart that you would have to have on a car. There are one or two of those in town. I don't see very many gas-powered golf carts. The only one I know is Joey. And then another one actually charged for registration of a golf cart. $25 a year for driving a golf cart on the road.
Not a bad idea.
So, I mean, just to register, and you put your little sticker on your golf cart showing that you paid your fee. Those are all good ideas.
Or would that cover like an inspection?
No, it's
Just
just
a
registration.
No, we're not, we cannot get into the business of inspecting golf carts.
Law enforcement needs to do that.
Well, and from the law enforcement perspective, I've talked to several deputies, and frankly, I feel like they would be relieved if we took care of golf carts and said, you know what, they're allowed. You don't have to worry about stopping somebody in a golf cart in the city of Keystone Heights. Don't worry about it. Go solve crimes. Go chase bad guys. And it's just one less thing that they're looking for in terms of, you know, saying, no, you can't do that. So I'm appreciative of that sentiment.
The fee could be easily justified, I think, by saying that it's to offset additional administrative costs. I know that there are several suburbs of Chicago, I don't know about around here, but that have their own stickers, and they sell them. So you know, the precedent has been set, at least other localities.
So if this is a consensus of council to move forward, then there's a couple of things that I would ask council to discuss and either have consensus on tonight or bring back at the next meeting. Is one, the age restriction, two, if there's going to be a fee associated, and then time restrictions, if any. Allow Mr. Commando and I to draft some things, have conversations with FDOT, and this is going to be a work in progress. This isn't something it'll probably be next calendar year prior to it going to for ordinance change. But at least we can get those things worked out.
So on consensus is 14, the age, the minimum.
Yes.
Mr. Brown's Mr. Brown?
You get your
I'd like
learner's
to-
permit at 15, and
I'd like to see it 16, but
I'd like to see 16 too.
They're gonna be driving a car.
How about we split the difference and go 15? Can I hear 15? What is 15? Sure, you want to come up and state your name and your address, please?
I'm Elston Cussler, 420 Palmetto, southeast, comes up southwest. I don't, you know. My golf cart is totally street legal. It has brake lights, it has blinkers, it has headlights. I could drive at nighttime or whatever. That's why I was we were saying at sunset, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on here.
Yep.
The fireworks at sunset or I walk here anyway. But if you got headlights, you should be able to drive,
Yeah.
you know. They should be street legal. Because that's the reason I bought the one I have now, because I actually, it's easy to put in. You step on your pedal and the brake lights come on. It has turn signals, it has headlights. I can make my lights blue, but you might want me to.
Well, there could be two standards as well. There could be a standard for street legal golf carts, and then not everybody can afford something that expensive, so it would be nice to have an accommodation for golf carts that, you know, don't have those things, but we allow them to use them.
Right. You should have headlight and rear lights after dark. You know, because cars are going to see you, you know.
And there was another provision I think you gave us for side-by-side, correct?
I believe that's in one of the ordinances that's addressed, yes.
You gave us a side-by-side? Low-speed vehicles? Is that a side-by-side for you?
Well, side-by-sides are different.
Side.
What are you calling them, low-speed vehicles? That's
I
what
think that was in part of the statutes, or part of the regulations for either the safety of motor vehicles or the
Yes.
Florida statutes, that they address all of that altogether under that section.
Well, I guess we should probably include them in the ordinance, because there are several side-by-sides in town.
I would like to see, if you're going to operate a golf cart, you need to operate it on the right side of the road. Some of the laws that the cars have to go by, they're going to have to go by also. It's just a safety thing. Car's going to hit a golf cart head on. The golf cart is not going to like it, and it's going to be somebody hurt. So we've got to do something about the speed, the lights, maybe at night, the safety.
You got the same safety concerns as a three-wheel bicycle.
Oh,
You know.
I'm kind of for it, but if we do it, I don't, you know, they're going to be able to ride on the sidewalk, or they have to ride in the road. You know,
You got to be on the road.
I just need some rules, regulations, so that.
Rich, if the state already makes a vehicle street legal, would we even have authority to regulate something like that? We can, of course, regulate speed and that sort of thing, but if they preempted the field by saying, hey, this vehicle is street legal, maybe an ordinance we passed wouldn't even affect you. That's my question.
So it's not preempted. Actually, what happens is it says that a municipality
It does, okay.
can pass an ordinance. There are certain regulations in the statute, like minimum regulations.
Back on the construction of an ordinance, I would suggest, say, a half an hour before and a half hour after sunrise and sunset, rather than pegging it right to sunrise and sunset, to give a little leeway. But I would not go past that point in the evening, unless it's street legal.
Do you have enough to go on, Ms. Frukowski? Yes, come on up. It's a party.
I wasn't here to speak for this, but Mike Bell, 658 Bethel. One other ordinance you may look at is the Villages, if you're not familiar with it, south. It's, I think, the largest golf course, largest golf cart-driven community. And it may be worth looking at the ordinance, just the same thing you're already looking at, but they probably have been through it a lot of times. So.
Yeah, Nocatee does the same thing.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
So if I can We were looking at an age restriction of, I've heard 14, 15, and 16. So if I can have a consensus on what that age is.
I like 15.
I'll tell you what, one, you let us come out with the first draft, and then you can, it's not in stone, you can make changes as you see fit.
Okay.
At least 14 would be consistent with state statute, and I think, Rich, your point's well taken. Once the kid turns 16, he's going to get a driver's license and drive a car.
I'm okay with 14.
Yeah.
I'm just
Okay.
trying to
You-
bridge the gap.
Okay.
Okay, so we move on. Vacation buyback, Ms. Kukowski.
Yes, Madam Mayor, so we have one employee who has served the city of Keystone Heights for well over 15 years. And with that, vacation time does accrue and gets up there. By policy, that individual is able to keep 160 hours on the books if something were to happen, if he were to retire or anything else. What I'm requesting from council is for us to buy back his vacation time and bring him back down to 160 hours. He is over 230 hours right now. And then we'll internally manage those vacation hours down at 160 or below. And so this would be a one-time buyback, but he, like I said, he's served our community or our city for well over 15 years. He's actually going on his 18th year. That's a lot of time for us to not acknowledge that.
Sure. Any other conversations? We've done that for you, for your vacation, did we not?
We have amended the policy so that instead of taking the time off, that any individual who's full-time is able to sell back 1 week of vacation each fiscal year. So if you prefer to work, or if you have to work versus taking time off, then you can do so, and it doesn't short staff. It's just an option that's given there. But this specific individual, he has a lot of time.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we do this.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Council comments, Mr. Hart on the right.
No, other than the fact that the Friends of Keystone is meeting Wednesday morning, and the corporation is looking for a new president, because the current president, of course, has moved to Texas, but I understand that there's a candidate that might be interested. Also, we're going to be talking about a little bit about 501c3 application and getting the corporation more up to speed in anticipation of the centennial. And also, I suspect there'll be some discussion about our country day and what the city's going to be doing. That's what we're up to, what the group is up to.
Ms. Thompson?
I want to thank the Clay County Sheriff's Office for the active shooter training. I don't think it was called that, but I took it when I worked for the government. So, I mean, it was very interesting, extremely educational. I'm very paranoid now.
Then they did their job, right?
It was great. It was great. The sheriff was there and JP was there. I love that. So it was very nice. Thank you, Clay County Sheriff's Office.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah, thank you to our sheriff's office. They do a great job. Just proud to live in Keystone. That's it.
Mr. Brown?
Was also there, and it was very informative. I think several years ago they did that at the school. We were in the gym, and they had a scenario going on in the school, and we could hear everything. It was pretty good. It's always good to be prepared. Hopefully we never have to deal with that. I would like to give an attaboy to our city manager and our staff are out Public Works. I had concern on Pecan Street because of all the rain we've been getting, and the elementary school students that have to walk through a lot of water. And I met with Lynn, our city manager, and showed her, what I felt like, might have been the problem. And within an hour, they were there taking care of it. And the next day, when we had a monsoon, Kenny was headed to that area to make sure, and it's working. I mean, we had a good rain this weekend, and well, every day. And I've kept an eye on it, and the water is going away, and it helps because when you do have a monsoon and you got water coming across Pecan and people, you know, God forbid somebody comes flying down there and hits that water in hydroplanes. But it is, thank you very much, Lynn, for doing that. And I do want to give an attaboy to our school. You know, I graduated in 1981, and that's about when they built the new gym, or not the gym, but the football field and the track. And this summer they took up that track and put a new track, and it's exciting to know that we're going to have track meets like we used to back 40-something years ago. And Mike probably remembers the clay track that we had. We went up when we got the new football field, but it's nice to see what they've done there and have all the field and track stuff that they're going to be able to have there at that football field.
Yeah.
So.
It's been good. And I want to give a shout out to AMVETS. I attended a 9/11 ceremony yesterday, and even though they had a short time to prepare for it, it's always meaningful to have the first responders there, and we're able to, you know, go by and thank them for their service. And so that was Bob Feinlich and his group, and I really appreciated being invited to that. City manager.
Okay. So everybody received a letter regarding stormwater management over there, just south of the retention pond by the elementary school. I did want to reiterate that this is something that our previous engineer did address. Yes, we recognize that there's a design failure, if you will. However, the chances of that area flooding are very, very slim. Even with Irma, that area did not flood. However, that, as well as a couple of our other problem children, and I believe we had a late comment, Mr. Mike Bell will speak to this in just a second, but the State Road 21, there's a couple of pockets there that need to be addressed. There's some that have been addressed on some of our lake beds, as well as over on the other side of the elementary school. We are going to be undergoing an entire citywide stormwater management drainage study, and all of those points will be addressed in that study. So that should be happening here in the near future, which leads me into my next item. We all know that Mr. Chadwishar has moved on in his career and is no longer with DRMP. We met Mr. Paul Yeargain a couple meetings ago, and he was going to be our customer service representative, and he has since moved on from DRMP, as well as a couple of the other key players that have handled Keystone specific in their Jacksonville and Gainesville location. So with that being said, it all happened very quickly. We found out, unfortunately, about an hour prior to a meeting that some of these individuals were no longer in place, and so we had to back up and adjust. With that being said, I'd like to inform council that we're going to brush off our engineering RFP. I'm going to put that back out to see if we can't not navigate away from our current contract with DRMP, but add additional engineers to our pool, so that when things do happen, we have multiple companies, multiple firms to lean on, as opposed to just one. I'll be bringing those results back to council for conversation and suggestion as we get those in. And with that being said, that is all that I have, other than the sheriff's office was brought to you by the Lake Region Prosperity Partners. So it's a fantastic monthly event that happens, and then after that the sheriff's net meets over at the church. So there's a great avenue to get plugged in with our businesses in our sheriff's office. And that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Commando.
Oh, and then after Mr. Commando's comments, I do have one additional public comment that was brought into me. Sure.
Good evening, Mike Bell, Bell Engineering. Again, I'm just in town for the week, so I came to visit. But I had talked to Lynn a few months ago. As the rainy season comes, I know as you guys all look at your own business, I look at drainage, and I see the FDOT improvements that were done. And there's a design or construction flaw all along the walkways. The low spots are right where the handicap access, so you have 6 to 8 inches of water standing in a pocket right where they've designed it to go through. And that's in a few places, but especially Nightingale is a very bad one, across from Clyde's by the bank and on the Clyde side, but the bank side especially. I don't know, Tony, if you see it, but it's a flaw that DOT should be reminded of, and whoever the contractor is. If it was a construction problem, they could be brought back. So I'm just here to say, you know, as a community member and as an engineer, I would be willing to help Public Works and Lynn to reach out to DOT and review those plans and try to get that moving, because what happens is time will go on and it'll go away, and that warranty or whatever goes with it will go away also. So I would, again, I'm just volunteering my time to do that, and hopefully I can help that situation, but it's definitely something that is a problem, and they've created many problems that could have been fixed with the new curbing and pavement, but I think they made it worse in a few spots.
Okay.
So it's just,
Appreciate that.
yeah.
And those are conversations that, part of our contract with GRP does not affect those conversations with Manly. You've met Miss Elizabeth here a couple of times. She's the one who's been in conversations with FDOT, and those plans and those things have been addressed also with our streetscape. So there's a couple different things that are going on with FDOT and then with our stormwater management as a whole.
But I'd be willing to review the plans. I think that's the biggest thing. If there was a design issue, it could be identified quickly.
Okay, appreciate that, thank you. Mr. Commander?
I don't have anything else, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
All right, anything else for the good of the order? For the good of the order for September